Hi, this is JoJo with Hookup Baits Podcast, and today we have a very special guest, Bill Boyce.
Very special.
How special am I?
Hit the soundtrack.
I so enjoyed, not only do we know you and you're a great friend and part of the Hookup Baits family, but I love this quote that I found about you, Bill, and it says, "If Bill Boyce hasn't done it all, he's come close."
Pretty much.
How was that? I mean, that just.
That's almost illegal. That borders on illegal.
And I guess it was a question you were asked,
Okay.
and your response at that time was, "I have much more to accomplish."
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Always.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it
That's
is.
awesome.
Man. Oh, wow.
And
JoJo's like, I wish I asked that question.
that's why I had to write it down. Obviously we're going to go into this, but how you're a biologist and photojournalist, TV producer and host, born in California. But let's start from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
How and who got you interested in fishing? Mm-hmm. And taking underwater photographs that are amazing that we have all over this Hookup Baits shop, which
It's
is
like
great.
a Boyce gallery.
Yes, it is. But what got you into it? What you got you started?
That's a great
tell
question.
us the story.
Yeah, so I was adopted, right? And my adopted parents, they were just way into boating, camping, and fishing.
Okay.
So from literally the day I was born, we had boats.
Uh-huh.
And-
How old were you when you were adopted?
I was literally, the papers were signed before I was born. So the minute I was born, I belonged to Bob and Betty Boyce.
Oh, okay.
Amazing parents.
that's
I
good.
mean, I was so blessed. That's the biggest blessing I ever had in my life, was being raised by Bob and Betty Boyce. Plus their love of outdoors, camping and boating and fishing, right?
Bob, Betty, and Bill.
Bob, Betty, Bill. My sister was
Boyce.
Bonnie. My brother was Steve.
What happened there?
It wasn't going to be Bartholomew, but just as a roll off the tongue, like Bill and Betty and Bob. But no, so the cool thing about it was, from a very, very young age, I mean, from the time we could crawl, we were in boats and camping and stuff. And then we always had a lot of other friends that were boating and water skiing. We were big water skiers too. So we had all these other families. So I didn't care if it was Easter, Memorial Day, or 4th of July, or Labor Day, or Thanksgiving. We were all saying, hey, where are we going to meet this time? Where are we going to meet this time? Colorado River, Catherine's Landing. Maybe it was at Lake Lopez. Maybe it's Nacimiento, San Antonio, Trinidad, Trinity, or Shasta. We always had our spots. We'd always go up and ski and boat. And I was the one who just took to fishing. And I think what it was with most of us who've started fishing, it all started with a bobber.
A bobber and a
Bob and a
bluegill.
worm. And look at that thing going, go down, bitch, go down. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
when it's just like, ah! And I can say this absolutely clearly. I had a love of fishing but I was 6 years old. It was 1962. So yeah, I just aged myself. Live with it.
Young at heart.
I do. So we're in Yellowstone.
Wow.
And we had a little Valveco boat, a little wheel on, like a 20-horse Merc, and we were catching cutthroat trout.
Nice.
It was nice cutthroats up there in Lake Yellowstone, and I'll never forget it. I had like a 1-to-1 J.C. Higgins freaking bait caster on the steel rod. I mean, easily the worst outfit on the boat. My dad's like, here, take this one.
Yeah.
Just let it out in the current. I'm just letting this thing out, a big night crawler strung out on like a little salmon hook. That's the details you remember.
Yeah, you remember everything
impressive.
about
All
that.
right.
You remember a pound
And
line.
it's like, I get bit. Just keep reeling. Just keep reeling, I'm just going, I get bit again, right? Keep reeling. And it finally just ate the worm down.
Until you finally got hooked on the little hook.
It was like a 16-inch cutthroat trout. And you're, you're a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It's like, your first real legitimate fish other than bluegills and
Yeah.
stuff you can catch it. And I just like, it's like I just want to kiss it and go to bed with it.
Yeah, name it and everything else.
But there's a really cool photograph of my mom and she and I with our fish. This old trailer with the wood, and it were Yellowstone there, and I mean, it's a classic photograph, right? I had it on Facebook a few times. People always comment on it, and I always say to people, that's the fish that changed my life.
That hooked you.
At that point, it's like, I definitely want to do something with fish the rest of my life, right? And when I was in junior high, I think I was like 13 years old, 8th grade, and my English teacher, we had to do an essay on our careers, like what do we want to do with our career? And I knew I wanted to do something with fish, right? So I go to the library at the school and I pull out, career books. And I look for fish. There's fish biologist, fish manager, fish culturalist, I'm going, yeah, fish biologist. Yeah, that's what I want to be. So, I was 13 years old. I knew I was going to be a fish biologist. The school to do that's Humboldt State. So I already had myself planned before I even got into high school, right?
Wow.
And even when I got into college, I'm at Humboldt, and there was guys that, they got like a straight bio degree, but they couldn't get really a job or something they wanted, so they had to specialize in wildlife biology or fisheries biology. So I was like, I always knew I wanted to do something with fish,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how lucky I was at the time, knowing at such a young age that was my dream. So all I did was just fulfill my dreams, And I'll never forget it because I went to Granada Hills High School. It's a big high school. My graduating class was like, 1,150 students, right? In just a class. It's crazy.
Wow.
Three-year school. 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And I was a senior class citizen. A senior class senator. And I was into the political spectrum of school. And so I knew a lot of people in my class. And there's like 10 of us that had our names in a hat to get a booster club scholarship. And I was up against the valedictorian, all these straight A. I had, I pulled, an A- B+ average, but I'm up against the brains.
Yeah.
And they said, everybody write an essay. If we're going to go to college, what your dreams are, and we're going to pick out the person we're going to give our the booster club scholarship to, right? So I just said, hey, man, I always want to be a fisheries biologist. We go to Humboldt State. And everybody else is going to UCLA or SC or, studying business, engineering, business.
And is it that Humboldt State
had...
had...
Who's this knucklehead? Let's give the money to this guy, man. He's going to go up there and grow a pot. I love this guy,
And is it Humboldt State had the fish biology thing?
Absolutely.
That was where you go for that? Yeah.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of campuses in California that have marine biology, right? But absolute fish biology, it's Humboldt State, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so because you could also emphasis on freshwater or saltwater. So it's like this is amazing. And once I got up there, you're up in the redwoods. I'm steelhead fishing, salmon fishing before a class. And it was just such a cool place to go. But I actually did my first 2 years in Lansing College up in Susanville, California, right up by Lake Tahoe, Eagle Lake, Pyramid Lake, right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal fisheries, a phenomenal area.
Yeah.
So here you are, you're 18 years old, coming out of an LA City school, and I have my motocross bike, and I go up north, and I'll never forget, I went to this like Suzuki dealership, and I go, hey man, it's like, where do you ride around here? He goes, where are you from? It's like, he almost bitch slapped me. It was like, ask him, where do you ride around here, right? Because in LA, you ride someplace, there's helicopters chasing you.
It's a chase.
Yeah. And I'll never forget it. I go, well, where? And he goes, there's any fire road, any logging road. It's all in that.
Yeah, go whatever direction you want.
And to be 18 and have that kind of freedom, right? I was living at the door at the time. I had this YZ250 in the bike rack. I'd come out of school with my boots and helmet, leather on, just wing, 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 go in the parking lot, and just go on these like 30, 40-mile rides in the middle of nowhere. Looking down at Eagle Lake. Had the fishing rod. Man, when you really realize this is what I want to do all my life, and then you actually do it, you're like, I am so glad I'm doing this in my life.
Yeah.
And I've always been a happy-go-lucky guy, but that vision when I was 18, realizing that my dreams are going to be a beautiful experience. It was a great way to start life, right? And then I came out of school, worked for Tahoe National Forest, and then from there I went to out to Colorado and worked for White River National Forest, and then went up to Alaska, worked for Tongass National Forest, and then Mount Hood National Forest in Oregon. And that's when those jobs in San Diego, working on the tuna boats, came around, and I wanted to get some marine experience. And those would be a really good stepping stone into these full-time jobs in fisheries because I wasn't a vet. Right. So to compete with vets with their 5-point and 10-point preferences, if they're disabled veterans to vet, at least me coming out of this program, they could take me out of this program unilaterally right into another job. So to me, it was a great step up. But I thought I'd do this for a year or two. I did that for 12 years.
Wow.
Just going out on those boats, going up in helicopters, diving in tuna boat nets.
When San Diego was tuna fishing
Oh
capital,
my God!
right?
All the purse seiners are stacked up on B Street Pier and downtown Embarcadero. It was that tuna fishery was such a part of the
culture.
The culture, exactly, in the mindset. Tuna Town, right? All the Portuguese down there in Point Loma, and then the whole Italian community.
And what were you doing on those boats?
Okay, so there was two different agencies that did that, right? National Marine Fisheries Service that had more of an enforcement role of making sure they're not killing too many dolphins. They had an inclusion to actually have mortality on dolphins. But I wanted to work for the Inter-American Tropical Tuna Commission because they did more science-based work, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I worked 12 years for the Inter-American Tropical Tuna Commission, and one of my good buddies from Humboldt State, Kurt Schaefer, his dad was actually the head of the commission back in the 50s, and Kurt was working there as well. So it was nice being able to work with guys that I knew in college, and it was awesome. So I mean, I made in 12 years, I made 23 trips on purse seiners. I knew all the tuna families, and
each one of those trips are like.
Well, it all
out there
depends.
for a while,
I mean,
right?
it's when you fill the boat, right?
Yeah.
So
could be a week, could be a month.
Oh
right?
yeah, hang on, let me link these a little bit. Yeah, I mean, my
Is your
shortest trip.
Is your
just
head
so you
growing?
no. Wah, wah, wah. So the trips were my shortest trip was 37 days, 1,200 ton purse seiner. You're jagging to catch 1,200 ton of fish in 37 days, and that includes time getting out there and time getting back, right? And but my longest trip was actually my first trip during El Nino, 1982, when those fish just weren't in historically where they normally were because the water temperature regimes in the Eastern Pacific Ocean were completely
changed,
off. Right. So they go into these places, they caught fish for years. They're like, where are they? You know? We finally found them like way down by the equator.
Wow.
And way out, like 140 west. It's like south of Hawaii, you know?
Wow.
Way out by like Marquesas Islands. You know, it's like, you look at a map, I mean, all you look at in 113 days is blue. You got three colors, right? You got blue, you got gray, and you got white, you know?
That's crazy.
So when you finally come back to land, you come into Panama and you're looking at green, like tree, like green, the color green. You know?
And this is your first trip.
My first trip, 113 days, right? Oh my God, I came back speaking like Portuguese. But it was really a trip, you know, and I just learned so much on that. I mean, you're diving in these tuna boat nets, and you're grabbing porpoise and throwing them out of these nets, and then you're stuck with all these like 80 ton of yellowfin tuna and
swimming all around
you. It's like it was just such a head buzz, right?
Yeah,
it was such an adrenaline high.
And that's where you started your photography.
Well, yeah,
right?
it was so funny because I knew because I'd come back and tell my friends my stories, okay? Because again, all my buddies are the guys that they're selling real estate or they're insurance or they're business. A few of them are engineers. They thought I was whacked. I went to Humboldt State to study fish biology. Here's my buddies, right? What are you, nature boy?
Yeah.
Nature boy, F you. I'm a nature boy, you know?
And look at you now.
Oh, yeah, right. So this is what's so funny because they just laughed at me. Like, you're never going to get a job. There's no money in that field. I said, tell you what, if there's one job, I am one competitive son of a bitch. I'll get that job, right?
Exactly.
Money, I'll live on whatever I make.
Yeah.
You know what? Money will never run my life. It hasn't to that day and still doesn't to this day, right?
Awesome.
And it's really cool. So when I came out, I was getting all these jobs, and then I'm backpacking for the government in the Tahoe National Forest.
And so what were you doing for the Forest Services?
Good question.
Yeah.
So we were basically working areas that were potentially going to be logged, or they had been logged years ago. So we're getting baseline, environmental data of the condition of the habitat, right? Like up in Alaska, most of the areas we surveyed were all virgin wilderness, right? It was all Tongass National Forest. But Louisiana Pacific Lumber Company had a 50-year contract, of which they're about 27 years into it, to cut 1 billion board feet of timber a year out of that forest. Wow. There's a heap of timber on the Tongass. It's the whole panhandle of Alaska. It's all trees, right? So getting 1 billion board feet, but because there's such a amazing virgin population of salmon and steelhead that run those rivers, if they have a choice of what they're going to cut, they're going to cut areas that don't affect fish habitat because there's a commercial fishery that relies on those fish production, right? So a lot of those areas were just literally virgin wilderness, and a lot of them the creeks didn't even have names. Right? Yeah. So you're like, we're naming our own streams. And because that's the first time on a federal government forum that name is going to show up, we're naming creek. We're like naming our own streams. So there was one of them.
So how many are named after you?
Yeah, how many how many Boyce Creeks are there?
None of that. We try to make them sound like Indian names, because it's you got the Pacific the Pacific Northwest Indians. And I'll never forget this one. It was just a stunningly beautiful, like 80-degree day in southeast Alaska. And when there's 80-degree, cloudless days, there is not a place on the planet that I would rather be than southeast Alaska on a beautiful day. Wow. Insane. Yeah. It is our Africa. Alaska is America's Africa. Okay. Wild animals, it's all out there. You feel like, wow. You get out of the boat, you're hiking this wilderness. Yeah. You're like, this is nuts. You finally get that feeling where you never really get that.
Yeah, you don't get that really anywhere else. Yeah.
And so the experience was just absolutely, amazing being up there. But there's one creek, 80-degree day, epic, right? And it's like, I'm going, hey man, I'm gonna grab a rock, and for my hour lunch, I'm just gonna lay naked, get a suntan, right? Yeah. So I'm just out there on this rock, and our 2 other surveyors did the same thing. We get back together, we have lunch, we go, hey man, what are we gonna name this creek? I go, I don't know, what are we gonna name this thing? He's like, hey, how about let's all get naked and crazy? We're going, we can't make it's like Lagnac, Lacnac. So we named it Lagnac. Right? It sounded like totally Indian. Wow, Lagnac. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, it actually meant let's all get naked. That's the cool stuff I had with times. But at any rate, phenomenal experiences. Fish that nobody ever gets a chance to see.
Yeah.
And then being on those tuna boats those years. I literally, out of the 12 years I spent in the program, at Southwest Fishery Center there at Scripps, I spent 7 years of my life at sea.
Wow.
7 years I was at sea on boats.
That's amazing.
Going in helicopters every day, then diving in nets with fish. I mean, and so I'd come back and tell my buddies. That's why I got my cameras. That's why this. I'm sorry, guys. This is a long convoluted story. But the reason I got my cameras is because I come back from those trips and my buddy's going, whoa, aren't you doing like, you're working with dolphins or something? Yeah, tunas, dolphins, sharks, whatever's out there. I'm just getting some data. And they're like, wow, so I mean, what's that like? I go, I get in these nests, I'm jumping around 2,000 porpoise, and I'm pulling these dolphins out, and I hang around with like 50 ton of tuna, and I'm like, that's crazy. So I had to get a
sharks,
camera.
Right? There's a bunch of sharks.
Pelagic white tips too. Yeah, small but really, really bad attitudes, And no, but the cool thing was I knew I needed to get a camera to take those photographs underwater just so I could show my friends. I had no inclination
Really?
like, whoa, I'm going to monetize this, And even with the Forest Service, I'm walking in the crown jewels of public land in the United States, taking all these photographs. I just did them because I love taking photos, right?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I started doing like slideshow presentations to fishing clubs and yacht clubs and dive clubs that people started going, whoa, look at those photographs. Can I buy those? I'm going, you want to buy one of my pictures? The thought didn't even occur to me, right? Yeah, I want to buy that picture. That's crazy. So I'm like in the slideshow, number 86. I'm like writing that number. I'm printing them all from slides, my original slides. Like, this is crazy. I don't want to mess these slides up.
Yeah.
So then you start getting scans of them. And so I worked a Fred Hall show. My first Fred Hall show, and I got a little 10x10 booth.
Yeah.
Had some photography up there, and I was right next to the HIBT Marlin tournament, right, the Hawaiian Invitational, and that was a very prestigious tournament for many, many years, right. You had to be invited. It was only countries, 24 countries a year would show up, and they'd all compete against each other, right. Wow. Really a cool thing. Yeah. And I mean, you sit, how Fred Hall shows are. You're there for 5 days. You get to converse with the people you're sitting next to, trading drinks, cocktails. You know how it goes. Yeah. And they're going, oh, Bill, your photo, these are awesome. You need to bring these to the HIBT, and we'll put them in the gallery, and you can maybe sell some of your stuff, and just donate a couple for the tournament. I go, God, that's great. So that's what I did, right? Went there for the tournament, the King of Kamehameha Hotel, right there in Kona. So I got my little display going, and Guy Harvey was there with the Jamaican team, and so he had a bunch of his stuff up there, and Wyland had some stuff because he has a couple of galleries there in Hawaii, and so we got our stuff there in this gallery, and it was Guy Harvey Day.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd actually talked to Guy a couple of years prior to that at one of the Fred Hall shows because I looked at his art and I go, this guy has to be a biologist. I mean, his stuff is so morphologically perfect. Yeah. Right. Every scale, every fan, I go, this guy, he really knows fish. This isn't just some artist. Yeah. And so I talked to him for briefly because you know how busy they get in these shows. And I'll never forget because I gave him one of my business cards. It said William Boyce Photography. It was an underwater tuna shot. Yeah. And he got it. And I'll never forget. He looked at it and goes, where'd you get this? I go, I take these pictures, I work on these tuna boats. And he goes, wow. And it kind of made an impression on him, and I walked away. But here it is. Now we're at the King of Kamehameha Hotel. He walks in for Guy Harvey Day. There's about, 10, 12, 15 people with T-shirts and posters and stuff they want him to sign. And I'm sitting back over with Ray Lowry and Tim Bailey from Bailey & Associates. They used to deal pin, Okay. And pin was always, that was the big reels then, right? Yeah. This is before Shimano even had Tiagras and stuff. Pin was the reel, right?
Yeah.
And Fenor, I think, had some competitive stuff back then. And so a guy comes in, and all these people are standing in line, and he's looking at all my photos on these easels and stuff. I had some on the floor, leaning up against the table. And he gets on his knees, he's crawling around, he's like, looking at my photos. Because it's carpet, and the photos are just on the carpet leaning against the table.
Yeah.
And so Tim Bailey goes, Boyce, he goes, guys really look at your stuff. I go, let's have a trip. So he gets up, he asks the gal who worked at the gallery, like, who took these pictures? He goes, that guy over there. Yeah. So he comes walking over to me, and he goes, how do you get these pictures? I go, I was a fisheries biologist for many years for Tuna Commission. I go, I actually met you a couple of years ago. I gave you one of my business cards, an underwater tuna photograph. And I could really see the clutching gauge. He goes, oh yeah, I think I remember meeting you. And I go, tell you what, guy, he's like, what do you use? What kind of cameras do you use? Because this is film. This is way before digital.
Yeah.
And I mean, meanwhile, I have 15 people staring at me like, dude, seriously? You should talk to us. I just feel these heat rays like burning off my face. I go, hey, guy, I think you need to take care of those first. And I'd be glad to tell you and ask you or answer any of your questions. So he did his thing. Guy's so personal, and that's just who he is. He's awesome. He's like a brother to me now. We've been best friends ever since that day.
Yeah, you guys do a lot of fishing together.
So we've traveled the world together for 6 years filming stuff.
That's awesome.
Anyway, now his kids were in 3/4 pants, and now they're having babies in 3/4 pants, which is awesome. So anyway, it was cool because then we got talking photography and stuff, and he asked me at that point, "What do you do? How are you marketing this stuff?" I said, well, I did my first Fred Hall show. I was next to the booth. He goes, you got to come out to the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, the Miami Boat Show. And I said, hey, the Miami Boat Show. I mean, I'd love to do a show like that, but they'll put me out by the trash cans and bathrooms. You know, he goes when you first work shows. And he says, no, I got a spot out in the hallway out by me. He goes, I'll make sure you get that spot, and I'll introduce you to all my high-end buyers, and you can stay at my house. And I'm like, how do you pass that up, right? So I did, and at that point, we were just, amigos, it was all good. And that's how I kind of started doing the marketing aspect of it. But I never, ever, when I was taking these pictures, thought, oh, I'm doing this because I'm going to bang this. It just worked out. And that's kind of how my life has always been. It's like, everybody's life is this way. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. There's doors that come up to you, right?
Yeah.
It's locked. Ooh, this one's open. Yeah. Right? You open it up. Whoa, sorry!
Yeah. Don't want that one. But then you open the other ones, they're like, hey, that'd be kind of cool.
You know what? I kind of like this. And it's like, you just kick that thing off the hinges and you go for it. Yeah. So I've always been one of those guys who have never been scared of opportunity, never been scared of a challenge. And
we are alike that way.
It's been a blast. And as far as the TV stuff, so I started doing all this underwater work with Guy, and I was doing a lot of work with Michael Folks on his show, his underwater work. And Michael and I were really, really, really good friends back then as well. And so we were doing a shoot down at East Cape, and the wind was blowing. It really wasn't good to film topwater. And Mikey's such a perfectionist. He doesn't want his viewers to get seasick with the camera, even though he could hold the camera steady as anybody, obviously, right? But he's just going, this is a fishing day. This isn't a filming day, right? So he's cool at Palmas de Cortez, hanging out and just reading some books. And I'm like, I can't do that, bro.
Yeah,
I gotta
fish.
Get on the boat. I gotta get it out there. You watch the sunrise over Sea Cortez. Oh, we're not going out today. Really? You're not. And I basically told him, I go, look, I can shoot underwater. It doesn't matter what the surface looks like. I'll just go out and get a bunch of underwater stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes, have at it. And the other cameraman, who's one of the producers of the show, is going, can I go with Boyce? I can't do this stuff either. Yeah, go on out. So we came out, and then we were doing what Guy and I did all over the world, is tease billfish in and then jump in on them and get our footage, right? And so these Mexican guys who go out in the boat, they go, hey, man, we got to get some bait. I go, no, we're not going to use bait. What do you mean? No, what do you mean?
I went through the same thing down there.
Oh, of course.
I'll use a hookup bait.
Of course.
No, we need bait. No, I'll only use a hookup bait.
I said, no, we're just going to use lures. Lures! Yeah, and guess what? You guys, this is really going to blow your mind. We're going to use lures with no hooks. They're like, get this gringo out of here.
Yeah.
This guy's way too borracho this early in the morning. So go out, because that's what we do. We just tease them up with, because you don't want the fish getting stuck, right? You want to hit it, and you wind it away from them, tease them. Get in. So I'm jumping in on a bunch of, striped marlin, and about a 400-pound, 500-pound blue came in.
Wow.
And they're like, there's no hooks in these baits. They're so pissed off, right? And then when I jump in on it and this thing's just doing donuts around me, they're like blown away. I get back in the boat, and I'll tell you something. It's way more fun filming them than just catching them.
Oh,
I love catching marlin. I love catching anything. I don't care if it's a bluegill or a blue marlin.
But watching them attack a bait, right? And just...
A real fisherman, it's just the thrill, right?
Yeah.
It's the jerk on one end waiting for the jerk on the other.
And you were never scared? Jumping
I'm not saying I wasn't scared. Are you kidding me?
Well, you missed that part.
Well, that's half the thrill.
I got balls, just no brains.
I mean, this is a 400-pound
Yeah, it's a big fish. But the thing is, the one thing you start to know about that, they're so keyed on what you're teasing them with, they can really care less about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just an obstacle in the water.
Exactly. And so anyway, came back, and so when I came back from that the other producer, the cameraman guy on the boat's going, you're out of your mind. Why would you ever feel compelled to feel comfortable in the water with these animals with a spike that could go right through you.
Yeah.
I go, no, absolutely. That fish could go right through me. And did you happen to see the propeller on it? Yeah, it's about 5 feet long. You know? Yeah, with
Whack
that much
you with that.
thrust, it would just go right through you. You'd be just freaking pitchfork. Right? And he goes, so why would you feel comfortable? I go, you know what? I've worked in pelagic fisheries for 12 years on those boats. I've been in the water with everything that swims out there as far as wahoo, dorados, marlins, you know, blues, blacks,
They don't care
sailfish.
about you.
Yeah, sharks. Tunas, obviously. And I just go, yeah, I just come to realize that they're not really the boogeyman. You know, they're not out here to get you.
Yeah.
And I said, it's kind of like Steve Irwin, right, in Australia.
Yeah.
He knew crocodiles and he knew snakes.
Yeah.
He had his cuddle factor with them.
Yeah.
He never got hurt by them.
No.
Could he have? Every time he messed with those
time.
things, he could have.
Yeah.
But guess
But
what?
he
He
understood
didn't
them.
know fish.
Oh,
I would never mess with a crocodile or snake. I'd get bit.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But you would
I'd
mess
be
with
the
a
biggest
stingray?
baby. That could you get him off my head, please? It's like, you know, but that fish that killed him,
Yeah.
he was just stupid. He didn't know that fish. I could have messed with that stingray all day long and never been stung.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
You don't know how to read them. That's
No.
that's your fish.
he
That's
tried to
your
ride
thing.
it and they put that spike right up through his heart. And he was only at 8 feet of water. He was on the Redow Reef, right there in the Great Barrier Reef. No,
crazy.
he wasn't diving, just free dive, snorkel. Because if he had a dive BC vest and stuff on, it would have never penetrated that. But he was just getting there. Hey man, look at that big old, and the big southern stingrays down there.
Yeah.
Right? And their defense mechanism, because they always get attacked by tiger sharks. Tigers come into those shallows and they're always eating the wings of them.
Yeah.
It's easy meat.
Yeah.
No bones to go through.
Yeah.
They grab those things and just rip off a wing.
Yeah.
And so, those stingrays, their defense mechanism, they lay flat, right? And when somebody comes in, they arch their back, and that spike
Just
that's
goes
laying
whoop.
down
Yeah.
sticks straight up.
Yeah.
And when they bite them, that spike goes up to the top of the mouth of that shark, right? Doesn't like it. So that's just what they do naturally.
Yeah.
So he comes over the top of it, just grabs it, and that spike just went right up into him. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was unfortunate. But again, I could have messed that fish all day long, right? Grab the end of its tail, side of its wings, blah, 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 blah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, but it was really unfortunate because Steve Irwin was such an asset.
he was an ass.
He was awesome.
He was awesome.
Well,
Such
and
a-
his boys really following in his footsteps too.
Yes. No, that's what's really cool.
A
And they
natural
should.
talent.
Absolutely. And they should. They really should. But anyway, so that's how I got started. And that guy said, that cameraman, he goes, why would you ever feel comfortable with these fish? I said, I did this and this and this and this. He goes, dude, you should be like hosting shows.
And you're like,
I go, I've never. I don't know. He goes, no, seriously, man. You know a lot about fish. You've been all over the world with these filming assignments. You've got this great story. You seem to be comfortable, in front of a camera and behind a camera. No, seriously. I go, well, like that's going to happen. So none of this stuff.
Another door.
It wasn't like I went and pursued a TV, career. He goes, I work for the Outdoor Channel, and I'm going to tell him about you. So I went and he told him a couple months later, the Outdoor Channel. That's when they were in Temecula.
okay.
They said, come on down for lunch. As soon as I heard my story and stuff, yeah, man, we got this one series. It's called World Class Sport Fishing, and we would love to have you host it. So I hosted that show for a couple of years and realized that the real control is being able to control the edits,
Yeah.
right? Because we come back with some amazing footage, and it would never make the shows.
Yeah.
Because the guys edit those shows didn't fish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
It was
didn't know
kinda
what the
this
fishermen
sucks.
are
It's going to
looking
be a
for,
much
yeah.
better show. I mean, they're always entertaining. I mean, people just like to see people catching fish and,
Yeah.
But I really want to make this thing like creative. Like, here's how they rig these baits and here's how they swim. So we get these guys like rigging these ballyhoo and then you put it in the water, get this underwater footage of that ballyhoo swimming perfectly. I mean, what an awesome,
Yeah.
45-second, 1 minute segment, like that. So B-roll, a little voiceover of what's going on. And so the viewers are literally immersed in that guy rigging that bait and making it swim.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the edit room floor, not even make the show. I'm going,
Yeah.
what are you guys thinking?
It's one thing to be entertained, but entertain and learn, that's even better.
But that's why that's when I decided to start my own production company, become an executive producer and host. And I knew a lot of sponsors because I was always writing magazine articles. I knew all the companies. And, they knew I could probably come up with some good content. And I never looked back. Did that for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, until COVID hit. Really, that pretty much put the skids on that.
And what were all the shows that you've done?
Say World Class Sport. Well, I used to produce Mikey Folks's show. I produced, meaning I was bringing sponsors to him and helping him on with that. And then I did all his underwater footage. And I had a lot of on-camera segments with him because he and I really played well on camera. And we had a good time doing that. We went to Midway a couple of times and did quite a bit. You also East Cape stuff And yeah, that was a ton of fun working with Mike. But the so some of the first series I did was actually inside sport fishing, right? And then I did world class sport fishing on the Outdoor Channel, and then I did a show called IGFA English Digest because I was a rep with IGFA, right? And so they're going, hey, man, that'd be great to get a TV show with their name on it. People think that they're producing. Well, now actually it's all my money. But IGFA helped us get some sponsors because that name recognition,
exactly,
right? It's all good marketing. And that was a great series. And we worked with a lot of IGFA captains and IGFA locations. It all works, right? It's all this. And so I did that for a couple seasons. And then the World Fishing Network really liked what I was doing. And so they wanted me to just produce and host a show for them, but it's going to be their network show, right? And they're out of Toronto, and they and I wanted to work with that network, and so they hired me to do IGFA Saltwater Adventures. Okay, that was their series. So I did that for a couple seasons, right? Had a good time with it. But again, I was losing control of the show. Yeah. And what really pissed me off, I'd have like Mojo Sportswear, Kobe and Sandals, or Ingle Coolers, all these great sponsors, right? That would put up, good sums of money to be a sponsor for the show, right? Yeah. And we do a segment where it's like, maybe I have a Mojo shirt. I'm talking about the attributes of the, this shirt's really comfortable. I would never go, this is a Mojo shirt. I was like, what?
You did it.
Like some of those hosts do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fishing a Shimano. What? No, I could never do that. It'd always be like, whoa, it'd be like, like Avid was our sponsor. I love those reels, right? God, this thing casts, Yeah. Yeah, it's got this really cool feature on it. Yeah. Like just real matter of fact. Yeah,
that's about,
the shirts are so comfortable. My God, you know what else?
Well, you're being honest. You're being truthful.
Absolutely, and that really worked well. The sponsors loved it. So at the end of that, they're going, hey, is there any way I could get that like 1 minute little ditty you were doing about our shirts? Yeah, no problem. Let me talk to I said to her, hey, World Fishing Network, can you send that one? I know. What do you mean no? No, that's our footage. No, I get it.
Yeah.
But these guys just paid you, X amount of dollars to be a sponsor. Yeah. Throw them down a minute worth of video. Are you kidding me? And no. And I thought to myself, what a bunch of bozos. Yeah. Because guess what? These are my personal friends. Yeah. So I thought, I need to take more control here. Because guess what? Anything I shoot you want, it's yours. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
And that's why every year that ink always, that ink hit paper. Until, like I say, until COVID. And then I did, but with them, then I came back, then I produced IGFA English Digest again. That I executive produced, and we did that. And then World Fishing Network, they came up with a good price. So yeah, I prostituted myself again for 2 more series with them. And one was called Bill Boyce's Baja, right? Because they knew I'd do the Baja. And then they knew I had California great connections, so we did Bill Boyce's California series, where we did freshwater and saltwater fishing. And that I did some shows with Don Brown, very, very good friend of mine who, he'll be on a podcast. And so Don and I became really, really good friends. And he's such a good angler. He's an encyclopedia in the boat. He fished with Don many times. Yep. He's so good with that, And so, yeah, it was really, really, really good TV. I had a good time doing that series. And then I did Destination Baja Sur. Yeah, and that's the one where I had the tourism boards behind me and all that, and we had a blast with that.
Yeah. Those were amazing. I watched every one because you really gave the viewer not only just about fishing, but I wanted to go to that hotel. I wanted to go to that restaurant, and I wanted to meet those people that owned the hotel and the restaurant because you made it so personal. Yep. Still haven't gone there, but it's on my bucket list.
Good. But you know who gave me that? I loved Anthony Bourdain's show.
Yeah. Yep. And that was a little bit of mix of that with fishing.
Absolutely. I know. I loved it.
Yeah. Anthony was great. Are you kidding me? I look at this guy. Here's this guy who's just, the chef. Did a few cooking shows, but his thing was about travel and just talking about food. Yeah. Talking about the food and the cultures, right? And he always have his camera guy show up a few weeks ahead of him and shoot all this beautiful B-roll, and he'd show up and do these great voiceovers, and he was a great writer. I love the way he would write his shows. There's such good productions. Such a shame what happened to that man. You just never know what inner demons are in someone. Right. Because that guy, to me, he had the best job of everything. Anybody in the TV industry, right? Yeah. Traveling and eating great, amazing food. I look at this guy and go, God, look at this guy. All he does is goes around, smokes cigars, drinks wine, drinks booze, gets tattoos,
hangs out with cool people.
Gazes at beautiful women. I'm like, I love this guy. I want his kid. No, but the thing was, I knew that I wanted to turn my fishing show instead of a Tom and Dick Go fishing story, I always add a lot of science to mine, because of my background. I just wanted to do more of a travel show like his. I thought that was because nobody's really doing that type of format.
That's right.
And it was a very successful show. We got a lot of telly awards and stuff out of that.
Well, and I don't know how many times, Chad has watched other programs before we got into yours, and I would watch them for about 5, 10, 15 minutes. And though I love fishing, I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
But when yours came on, I didn't leave.
Oh, get out of here.
No joke. Ask Chad. It's true.
The fishing show she would finish.
Yeah.
But see, that's it, because it was an interest to everybody. And we'd hear that a lot at Fred Hall, too.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be in my booth, and people go, hey, man, I really like the show, blah, blah, blah. And their wife and their kids would come up, and the wife would say the same thing. You know what? You're that guy. My husband, he's sick. He's sick. He's like, he plays with himself for all these fishing shows. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm just like, woo, TMI. And she goes, but you know what? Yours is the only one I can watch because it's a different style. And even our kids, they hear your music and they go, hey, it's that show. I mean, that's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
Right? Where my wife and a kid will sit down and watch your shows instead of some guy just drinking beers and eating Cheetos.
Well, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
We'll be right back with Bill Boyce. Just a second. Hi, this is JoJo with Hookup Baits Podcast, and we are back with Bill Boyce, and we are having a little bit of fun today, aren't we?
With you guys, it's always smiles.
It's always a good time
Smiles
with
for
Bill Boyce.
miles.
That's some of the funnest fishing trips I ever been on. Was with this guy.
I can believe it.
We're like two peas in a pod.
It's true.
So we've talked about your experiences, but Tom actually came up with this question, and he said, take our listeners behind the camera of capturing that perfect underwater photo. As a photographer, do you know at that moment that is the shot of a lifetime? Or do you know when you get back and you're developing the photos? Because your photos are so unique and so precise. And I know it's a lot to do with your background, but at that moment when you're capturing that photo, is it then? Is it later? Is it both?
Great question. Really good question. And it depends on what format. When I was shooting film, you didn't know. You didn't know until you got it developed.
Because he only had so many shots, too, right?
You had 36 bullets in that camera. 36 bullets, bro.
Yeah.
And especially the tuna boats, because that's when I first started shooting underwater. People come into my booth and go, oh, look at that. My God, the composition, the light. I was like, seriously? You're in the water with 50 tons of 200, 300-pound yellowfin tuna blowing right by you? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, yeah, can you smile? Oh, got that one. Oh, yeah. No, man. I was like, yeah. Horizontal, vertical, horizontal, oh, yeah. It was mayhem. Mayhem. But then, and again, I was out at sea.
Yeah.
I've just got stacks and stacks of film that's all been shot, but I didn't even know what I even got until I got back. But that was kind of a thrill, right? You turn your film in, you come back, you got these boxes and boxes of slides, you get my light table out. Whoa!
So you didn't know.
No. And the thing is, you have to shoot slow chrome films, right? Because fast print film doesn't work all that well underwater, and so it's usually, I usually shot chrome, slides, right? So I give slideshows, okay? And slides always have the best, when you're getting big prints and stuff. Photos from slides were always really good stuff. So, and so those slide films, typically those emulsions that give the best color are slow films. You got fast moving items that are in low light, fast moving with slow film. I mean, you've already got 2 punches in your face before you even pull the trigger. But now with digital, oh my God, you can wick up your ISO and shoot really fast speeds and light. And I mean, it's now it's like 10 frames a second.
Yeah.
So I'm taking like 36. So I had to be so picky with 36 photos. So what his question is, what I would have to be really, once I got out of that environment, we just have stuff blowing by you, and I'm just underwater with a particular fish or maybe a marlin or something. It was always you want to wait for the light, right? So the fish has light on it, right? Look at the light there compared to there, right? Look at that compared to that. Well, when it's like that, there's gonna be no detail in that image. So you really had to be picky, right? Yeah. And I'll never forget when I first started filming with a guy, because he had this like RS Nikon with an auto winder and autofocus, and And I'd come out of the water, and he's like, "Man, I burnt through 36 pictures so fast." You know, and he goes, how many frames did you take? I go, I took 11. You took 11 pictures? That marlin was all over you. I said, yeah.
But they're 11 good ones.
I go, here's the difference. Bro, you took 36 snapshots. I took 11 photographs.
There you go.
Got it. And
he slowed down. I got him to change, and then he's like, yeah. So that's really what it's all about. Is you want to get that positioning. And sometimes it's a straight on shot. Tail away shots are tough, you know.
Yeah.
Either broadside or this and that. You know, sometimes you want to be under them a little bit, you know. And so yeah, it was always you. At least you knew when you had a good light situation and the fish was in a good position. And that's what I loved about digital, because you could and then you sit there and go, oh yeah, that's
the one.
Yeah. And when that's a crack whip. There's some guys who got into underwater photography long after I did, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm an underwater photographer, yeah, blah blah blah, yeah. Oh boy, so we really pioneered this. I go, pioneered this? I was doing this in the '80s, early '80s with a freaking Nikonis 3, dude. No meter, no light meter, what? One shot at a time, you know, auto, no, you're having to focus it and wait for that. That was another thing. You knew that fish was going to be in focus from like 5 to 10 feet away. Any closer to be blurry, any farther away to be blurry. So not only are you waiting for the right light, that fish had to be in that zone, or else it'd just be blurred. I mean, like, what? Compared to nowadays?
Right.
I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're taking 10 frames a second, you're almost shooting underwater video, and then you're photoshopping the heck out of it. Really? You're not a photographer, bro. You're a button pusher. And, granted, you're put your body in the position to get those shots. But it's really funny.
A whole lot easier.
There were a few photographers in the fishing industry, myself and Scott Kerrigan and Richard Gibson. We all started in film, and we have a whole different respect for each other, you know. And it's funny because real photographers look at us and go, man, those guys, that was the olden days. It was like, that was before potato chips, bro. I think Fritos were out, but potato chips weren't. But yeah, so. Getting back to him, it really depended when I'm talking my film days or when I was talking my digital days. And I love digital because you can just take so many images, right? I mean that camera now is just like you're in a an A10 Warthog just shooting 30 millimeter rounds and stuff.
Well, that's the thing when you go fishing with Bill and you catch a nice fish. Expect a photo shoot. Oh, hold on. You gotta get it here. Hold it there. Okay, put your hand like that. Do it like this.
He's a good photographer too.
Why didn't they just ask for all those pictures?
I've learned a lot from Bill. Used to everybody like hold that fish up. Okay.
Oh no, it makes a big difference.
Bill, no, do this. Gotta do that.
Oh yeah, man.
And they're like, oh wow, okay, that made a difference.
Even flash, right? A little bit of fill flash. People go, what about it's a perfect sunny day? What are you using a flash for? They don't understand.
Yeah.
That light's gonna get absorbed so fast in sunlight, but that flash exposes maybe shadows under a hat. A little bit on the fish. You don't need a lot of light, but it's just and I can really adjust my flash to really like kick out 1/64th power of the flash. Just a kiss of light.
Yeah.
Boy, you get those images back and you go, why do your photos look so much different than mine? Lucky.
Now, with all your travels, we're going to kind of step back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite rum that you like to drink?
Well, yes. And it's really funny because long before I started repping this brand, I always loved it. Right? Because it's Papa's Pilar. They're out of Key West. Hemingway brand. Love this brand, right?
Yeah.
Because Ernest Hemingway was a big angler.
Yes.
Right? World War II vet. Amazing writer, obviously. Lived in Key West. Lived in Havana, Cuba. He had this really, really cool, which was like a cutting-edge sport fishing boat back then, the old wood boat called the Pilar, okay? And his wife's name was Pilar. And all the little Cuban kids used to call him Papa. And that's Papa's Pilar. That's his boat. That's Papa's Pilar. That's Papa's Pilar. Yeah, right? And so, and because of his World War II heritage, he loved his rum and he loved his cigars. And he'd always have his rum in a canteen. An old World War II canteen, and they just open it because nobody knew what he's drinking. Just out of his canteen. So with Papa's Pilar, again, it's the whole Hemingway brand and the whole marketing. It's Key West. It's a great brand too. Above and beyond that, it's a phenomenally good rum. But the bottle is a canteen shape, and he has a little chain on it. It's brilliant marketing, right? So I saw them at it was either a Lauderdale or a Fort Lauderdale or a Miami boat show. I'm going, Papa's Pilar rum. Oh, I'll try some of that stuff, and they're pouring shots. I'm like, whoa, stuff is really candy because I spent a lot of time in Central America. Magazine assignments, filming, a lot of Costa Rica, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Panama. You know, a lot of time. And they love their rums down there. And I've spent a ton of time in the Caribbean. So you're talking the Caribbean, Central America, some of the finest rums, obviously, in the world are produced there. I love my rums. But being in Baja and Infectionado, I love my tequilas, right? But I always loved this Papas Pilar rum. And so it was years later, my good friend Mike Myatt, who used to be the COO of the IGFA, right? And he was the one who hooked me all up with We worked together on the IGFA TV series and stuff. Right? We did some filming with Mike. He's been he's a brother to me, right? He left IGFA to go to Papas Pilar to become their national sales manager. And then they got a few people in the industry to be their like brand ambassadors. And they had nobody in the West Coast. He's going, Billy, he goes, I need you to be a brand ambassador for and I love their rum, so why not? We got a bunch of our friends. If I could just sit there and pour shots to my friends at these CCA events and these other, tournaments and stuff like that, what a blast, right? And so I've had just such a good time, and I love taking photographs of, and they love the photographs I give of their rum and all these different locations they travel, because we've done a bunch of them. We've always got rum.
There's rum involved every night on our trips.
But taking photographs. I mean, we pull over
I'll be driving down the road, and all of a sudden Bill was like, "Oh, hold on, pull over." What the hell happened? He goes, back up. Oh, that spot right there.
In Oregon,
you get out. Bill set his bottle under a waterfall. Do a little commercial, take some shots. I mean, he's always working. He's always looking for that shot.
Take care of the people, take care of you. But I mean, that's the thing. It's always great rum. And it's one thing. If I wouldn't be, come on, Bacardi Gold. Oh, you got to try this. Like, people are cacking on your stuff, right? At least this is like, man, when you hand it to somebody, they drink, it's like, whoa, it's really fun.
And do you just have it over ice, or how do you prefer it? I know there's lots of different ways.
Excellent questions. So Papas Pilar, they have a 7-year blonde rum that has kind of a vanilla overtone to it.
That's the one I like.
That's really tasty.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like 70% of the people, 7 out of 10 that taste it, they really like. And it's less expensive. It's only a 7-year rum. Yeah. But that has that vanilla flavor to it. It's a light rum. It's a blonde rum, right? But it's really good. And I mean, that's great just on ice. Or it's really, really good with, I do pineapple water, right? And then coconut water and pineapple juice, right? So it's lighter instead of like coconut milk. It's thicker. And so it's a real refreshing drink, And the dark, really good on ice, or it's really good with fresh squeezed orange juice. Fresh squeeze. I mean, you can do it with store-bought orange juice, but man, fresh squeezed orange juice on that rum, it's candy. Yeah, candy.
Well, I prefer it with rim and cider.
That's right.
Well, that's a new one.
I developed that in Oregon.
He loves the cider.
I'm always a cider guy. So I always had my ciders, and he had his rum. And I'll do a shot of rum, but I'm not a hard alcohol drinker. It's just that strong taste of alcohol is kind of like, it's hard for me to drink. But I love a cider. One night I was like, he gives me a shot of rum, and I'm like, poured it into my cider. I'm like, oh, now this is game on now. Loving this. And then I named it Rim and Cider.
Rim and cider.
You just take the U out and put an I in. Rim and cider.
So tongue-in-cheek. But it's really good stuff. And so, and I always say, I love it with the fresh orange juice because I just hate scurvy. It's my anti-scurvy medicine.
Well, while I did my research, as we're talking about different things, I had no idea that you have a sandal named after you.
Oh my God! Yeah, so this is classic too. Again, a really good marketing. It's Kobe and Sandals, that right here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Great surf brand. Amazing people. They're such amazing humans on this planet. What they do for humanity. They're really that company, right? So another good friend of mine, who I did some work with in the sport fishing industry, he became their national sales manager, and they sponsored my show. So I love their sandals. Really good price points. They sell them all the Bass Pro Shops.
Oh,
and stuff,
I love them. Yeah.
Great product, great great prices, and they last forever. There you go, dude. That's my favorite.
And who bought those for you?
Those are so awesome. It's like walking on pillows.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Drano model. So Well, we did on mine. They're going, well, how we can incorporate Bill into some of our marketing stuff. And they came up with a process where you could make, the soul would be a photograph. And they're going, hey, let's try this. So we did like some of my Dorado photos, and we did like a black marlin one, and a tuna one, and a sailfish one. And we came up with these different, and they had a really, really nice deck on them, and they had like a little Boyce like embroidered signature on them. But the cool thing about them is, and they were water, and they wouldn't scuff up a boat. They would never make marks on a boat. But think about how well they looked on a rack. You know? Everybody's got all these, all these sandals on a rack. Yep. But man, here's this one with these photos. What are those?
Oh, I'll take one. Right? Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. Yeah. The Bass Pro Shop, right? The very first time we met with Bass Pro Shop in Springfield. So they're going, hey Billy, you want to come out with this? It was me and Aubrey and Tim, the other sales guy. I go, yeah, I'll go out there. So I mean, we're like, you know, we got this whole suitcases full of all these Cobian sandals. And Bass Pro Shop, corporate, they're like, you have 30 minutes. Oh, let's see, you guys are on from 12:30 to 1, right? Oh, wow. They give you like 10 minutes to come in and get your stuff set up, right? They walk in. It's not like, oh, yeah, you're not going to give them sales pitches. They don't need sales pitches. That guy was 82 years old. He's been the shoe buyer for Bass Pro Shop for like, you know, ever since they opened. Wow. You're not going to tell this guy anything about a shoe. It's just zipit.com. If he likes what he sees, he'll ask you the prices, right? It's that, right? He's looking because they have some really nice ladies stuff, right? And this, and he's looking, and he's going, okay, so what are the price points on these? They're telling him, he's going, whoa. And he actually realized that's better than the price points they're getting off the current brand they have, and he really liked our line. And he goes, what's this one? He picks up the Dorado sandal, right? He picks up and goes, what's this? This is cool. He goes, oh yeah, you know, that's a photograph. It's the photographer. He goes, because it says William Boyce, and he goes, who's this William Boyce guy? They go, that's him right there. I'm going, hi! You know? And he goes, these are really cool. He goes, so how do you get a name on a sandal? I go, I'm an underwater photographer, and I've been in the industry a long time, and we just came up with a cool marketing idea. He takes that sandal, he puts it aside, he goes, there's one. What else you guys got?
Nice.
Wow. Wow.
And ever since that day, I think they wrote like a $500,000 order, and they're in all the Bass Pro Shops. It's cool. And that sandal, smartly, they had like, they would run it, and then they would, you know, do another series, and they're always changing their stuff out. So we've always talked, hey, we'll do something down the road again. You know, that's a lot of fun. And that was where my show was going, right? So it was really cool hand in hand.
Well, I had already come up with the question of if I had to walk in your sandals, where would I? What would I be wearing? And then hence I actually found the sponsorship. So that was kind of a surprise because I was thinking, okay, if I had to walk in Bill's shoes, what would it be like? And then I Googled, and here comes the sandals. I'm like, are you kidding me? She's got sandals named after her. I'm like, wow, okay.
Of course he does.
Great brand, great people. San Diego, right?
Yeah,
respect.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So today you've got a home in LA. You've got a home in Mexico. What's a snapshot of this is Bill Boyce's life today?
Good question again. So my home in LA isn't actually in LA. It's in the Angeles National Forest. It's a 2-story log cabin on a half an acre. And I have a trout stream in my front yard.
That you feed?
Yeah, I've got about 240, 250 feet of stream frontage, cascading waterfalls, an iconic location. I'm 15 minutes from Santa Clarita. You know, and I get on the 126. I can be in Oxnard. I go out the back way through the forest, and I get on Gorman. I'm on I-5 going north. I come across over to Palmdale, Lancaster. I'm on the 14 north going up to Pyramid, or going up to Sierras, right? And even when I come to San Diego, I never drive through LA. I just come out the 138 down Cajon Pass. I take the 15 down here, right? So I'm never really having to deal with LA. So the only time I'm really in Los Angeles is go to a Dodger game, you know? Something like that, or go to a tournament, or maybe fish Long Beach. I like there's some really good fishing in LA. A lot less boats up there than fish out of San Diego, right?
Small Santa Monica. Remember, we fished Santa Monica.
Shut up! What are you? Oh, for crying out loud, Chad! Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, it was only a one-time thing.
Santa Margarita.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no fish up there.
No,
Don't
but it's
go
great.
there.
So I've got this really, really cool place. 2-story little log cabin up there, and then my place in Mexico is down in a town called Bahia de Los Angeles. It's in the Sea Cortez, about 400 miles below the border. And I've had that place since 1980, so 42 years, ever since I was 24 years old. Had a little travel trailer, took it down
Because I think
there.
Mom and Dad took you down there, if I remember the story.
Check it out. I ended up taking my mom and dad.
Oh, that was what this,
Yeah, so I took they were nervous as heck. I bought the trailer off a buddy of mine up in Humboldt County who was moving to Guam. He graduated, and then I graduated. So I bought his trailer because he was selling everything he had. Took it out to Colorado to work out of Aspen for the White River National Forest. And then that next winter, it's like, what do I do with my trailer? Put it in an RV storage lot someplace in L.A., you know? And so, no, take it down to Mexico, you know? So I had this absolute freaking smoke show Filipino girlfriend at the time, you know? And my German short-haired dog. We went down there for like 8 weeks, just fell in love with Baja, the Sea of Cortez, L.A. Bay, a little village. And it's really funny because I was 24 years old. The minute I unhooked that trailer and set up, the next morning we woke up, I go, I'm so screwed. I'm going to live the rest of my life down here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I knew at that point, I was 24, I will live the rest of my life down here. Depending on what I'm doing in my life, I'll spend sometimes more time than others, but this will be a part of my life the rest of my life. And then I did all these TV shows with Baja. I mean, the place became part of my soul, right? I think in a past life, I was definitely a Mexican, and I was definitely from Baja, you know? So at any rate.
But do you see a pattern here? You live it, you dream it, and you achieve it.
And I'm not afraid to take, you know, people go, oh, God, TV, how fun is that? That's, you know, when I was on NBC Sport, okay, that was about a $225,000 contract, right? And the Pursuit Channel, World Fishing Network. I mean, I would put my name to ink for about $300,000 before I even created a copper penny in sponsorships. You talk about nutting up.
Right.
Oh, yeah. But sponsors got smart, right? They want to know, okay, if you're going to have the show, I want to see contracts of what networks you're with. What air, you know, you have, you know, good air times, right? Good days. I mean, sponsors got very smart, as they should. They're putting out large sums of money for that stuff, right? And so they always liked my show because I was always on several networks, several airings a week, right? Above and beyond the content, I just got a lot of eyeballs, right? And eyeballs are what you're paying for. So, it was really interesting. But I mean, God, I mean, you talk about, I mean, you're signing those contracts just nauseous. You know, just nauseous. And then we did the Dollar Fishing Club, which was such an awesome idea with that big 160-foot mothership. You know, $1 a month, because we love that Dollar Shave Club thing, right? $1 a month, get a razor blade, it'll shred your face. You might win the $5 one, you might win the $10 one. But we love that guy. You know, great-looking guy, super gregarious, just a great salesman, and they were crushing it. So we looked at that. We have this 160-foot mothership down here. Nobody wanted to pay the bills for it. We're like, well, why don't we get this Dollar Fishing Club thing? And that's our clubhouse. Right? And it was such an awesome concept. And, man, we crushed it at Fred Hall. But you know what screwed us on that? The website. We weren't web designers. We thought we're the best. But, boy, I tell you what, it's kind of like if you get sued, you better hire a lawyer to go to court. And if you're going to develop a website, you better have a web designer. We did, but what was happening is because it was such a techy site. You know, voting for these photos and videos and stuff like that. A travel component to it. You know, a commerce, e-commerce.
It had a lot going on.
Oh, it had a lot going on. And I mean, to our guys' credit, they were trying to get all that done, and we're like, we need to get the Fred Hall. Like, so we got the Fred Hall like before the thing was really ready to launch, and people are signing up wide open. It's like, this isn't quite working. That isn't quite working. I know it's kind of this beta testing thing. What do you mean beta? You know, I gave you $1. He's like, whoa, take it easy there, sport. He was like, $12 a year. That beer about 10 feet away, because literally right by the beer stand. That's $13, bro. You're gonna kill that in 30 minutes. This is a whole year of your life for $1 less. You know, quit bitching. But anyway, we finally had to shut it down because you know how social media is. Oh my God, that doesn't work.
Started hating you.
That thing's a waste of time. You know, put the skids on. We still own it all. We still have the rights to all that stuff. So maybe we'll reinvent it someday. But and we had investors that wanted to throw in on it, but they wanted way too much of it. And we're going, no, this is our idea. This is our boat. We're not going to give you that much for our idea.
Right.
So
we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Jojo with the Hookup Baits Podcast, and we are back with Bill Boyce. And now we're going to talk about who introduced you to Hookup Baits.
I'll tell you who introduced me to Hookup Baits was you guys.
Yeah.
I was doing a slideshow. I think it was at the San Diego Anglers. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I remember seeing you guys at the Fred Hall shows, but I could never leave my booth. You know how that is. You got way too much product.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, you walk away, all your stuff's gone. Like, oh, it's awesome. I only paid $4,500 for this piece of cement. So anyway, no, I saw you guys, and you had those baits. And I go, this is a really, really unique design. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's completely different than anybody's plastics are coming up with, you know?
Yeah.
And so you gave me a bunch of them. And what I did is I took them down to Mexico because I want to try them down in Baja. And the first few I fished, they were just getting chewed up by triggerfish.
Yeah.
I'm going, wait a minute, I don't want to just waste these on triggerfish, right? And stupidly, I left the box of them down there. Because I would have loved to have fished more of them up here. So it wasn't until I went back down there again, right, that I got those things. And then we got out, we were catching yellowtail and stuff on them. I go, man, these guys have a bait. And again, you guys, because I've spent so many years underwater, I know how fish swim.
Yeah.
And all these plastic baits have these big kicky tails, you know. They
That
don't
doesn't
swim
look
like
like
that.
no fish. Yeah.
That's what Chad has said.
Baits dart.
Yeah.
They go to point A to point B, point A to point B.
And the
point
tail
A to
is
point
a.
B. Yep, exactly, exactly. So you look at your baits underwater, and again, I think I love about your baits is the eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Because fish definitely key on an eye, and your eyes are so realistic. So yeah, I mean, just the presentation of your baits in the water and the weight of them, they just fish great. They dart, they fish down, they fish up. You control them. I mean, the versatility of the hookup baits, I became an addict the first time I started really fishing those
I
things.
remember we gave them to you,
Yep.
and nothing happened for a while. Nothing.
Because you're in Mexico.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, the jerk didn't even ever use my baits. And then all of a sudden, I seen a post, on a hookup bait, and I'm like, babe, check this out. Yeah, it's Bill Boyce. He's saying he caught one on a hookup bait. Yeah, and I was like, we were stoked.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
So I brought him back out and fished my buddy Chris Wheaton. Chris and I are like brothers. He probably seen him at the Fred Hall shows. He's also with CCA, and he's got a place in Mexico, right in the same town with me, and he's done a bunch of our shows with us on those Baja series. And like I say, he's like a brother to me. When I put that 300 Suzuki in the back of the boat, we did it at his shop. I mean, he's just that guy, right? Real techie, great stick, good angler. And so I'm fishing with him. On he has a Sea Fox, a couple of Suzukis on it. So we get some photos for Suzuki and stuff. And so we go out, and they had live squid in Long Beach. Yeah. Hey man, we'll scoop up with some of that. It's like $80 for a scoop of live bait. We go, we're gonna crush it. This is gonna be stupid, Yeah. So we go out and like nothing. Yep. A couple of sand bass, like just yakking it. We're fishing all kinds of historically great areas. Yeah. Just not doing anything. And I thought, you know what? A halibut will just be so on to one of these baits. Let's just go back inside, and the rest. I mean, we had tons of bait. We're gonna end up eating these things, right? Ourselves. But anyway, we come back in the bay, and we're fishing these live squid for halibut. And I had a hookup bait, a sardine. I'll never forget this, right? On a nice Cousins with a little Avid on it. And so I'm gonna throw these hookup baits, So I cast that thing. It was like my very first cast, fishing like 15, 20 feet of water, and. Doing, got it whacked. I thought sand bass. Yeah. So keep wanting, keep working. Dang, got hit again. I go, what? And then again, I'm just thinking bass, right? So I put it right in the same spot again, right? Ding, ding. Sits on it. Yeah. I sat on it, and it's just like that. I'm going, did I get the cable? It was like,
right.
Everybody's going, I know where that guy's fishing. So anyway, so I thought I hung in the cable. So I'm going, man, I bet that's a halibut. Right? So come up, 13-pound halibut, beautiful fish on the hookup bait. And he's just going, that's crazy. So I'm just fishing hookup baits. I'm completely out fishing live squid. We did end up bringing squid back to eat. But we just fish hookup baits the rest of the afternoon. Yeah. And Chris is going, these things are insane. Yeah. I go, this is amazing. They're out fishing live squid
all the time.
At that point,
that's like unheard of an artificial bait, right?
Yeah, no kidding. And then obviously, we started fishing together. Oh yeah. And then it's just freshwater, saltwater. Because we love them both, right? We're not just these saltwater guys.
Yeah.
And then here in your
done
background,
striper, smallmouth, largemouth, trout. Yeah.
Browns, rainbows,
and all
lakes,
the saltwater bass,
crappie.
We've gotten everything on them together.
Yeah, and spotted bass. Don and I do a lot. He guides a lot up at Oroville, and he's a really good guide.
That's our next trip.
Yeah, he knows that fishery. He knows that fish. And we just cry. And when we first started fishing, he goes, oh, yeah, because he has all his baits. But he's been fishing for years, right?
Yeah.
But these things are such a consistent, they're just getting chewed so much, so consistent. And he found they're really easy to teach clients how to fish.
There's not a wrong way to use them.
There's not. And he's he's as big an advocate of hookup baits as anybody on this planet.
Yeah.
Well, and with that, we obviously are proud and very appreciative of you being a Hookup Baits ambassador.
No, he's super ambassador.
Excuse me, super ambassador. Yes, you are. What is, I mean, obviously you've seen so many different baits over the years and so forth, but I know you only talk about things that you're passionate about. And we so appreciate, but when you're giving those baits for someone to try, how's that feel to know how confident you are about that bait and that you know they're going to catch something?
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling because you know that bait can change their life. It changes a lot of people's lives.
Remember that kid on the dock at up there at Klamath Falls? That kid on the dock.
God. That blew his mind.
When he caught that big trout.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're sticking a bunch of trout. Well, we get out there. We're talking to these guys. We pull up, and there's these guys, you know, it's a drift boat with a motor on it, Loomis hats and stuff, fly rods. We get talking to the guy. And he's going, oh, yeah, I'm a guide. You know, I've been here for 30 years, blah, blah, blah. How's the fishing? Oh, yeah, we saw 5. We caught 2. It was like noon. Remember, we got there so late. And we're going, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, you might see a few fish, blah, blah, blah. But it's really slow. You're not here at the right time of year.
You're not going to get a bite or nothing.
Okay, what are you going to do? You know, so we put the boat in the water. Like my first cast, I stick like a 6. His second cast, he sticks like a 7. We're like, this is stupid.
We caught so many big fish that day.
So insane. I think our biggest was a 10.
Hopefully not near him, or was it near him?
He was gone.
Well,
okay.
He got his phone number, so he sent him.
He sent me his cell phone. He goes, yeah, let me know those things work. I'm sending him photos of these fish.
God.
He's just like, just blowing chunks. And then we pull up at the end of the day. There's like this little restaurant there, the little thing. So we're just catching these fish like one after another at the right low light, late afternoon. And these people come out and they go, what the F are you fishing with? We're going, hookup baits. It's a big wrap on the boat.
The boat says hookup baits.
Yep.
But the most fun
But then we went to the restaurant and it was just like...
Oh, it was mayhem. They all wanted them. They're all laid out. This little Asian lady comes in. She owns the place. I did this in my store. She's like the first buyer, the first wholesale account in Oregon.
Yep, exactly. Yep. She's like, I got to have these.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was talking about the last time when me and you and Don went there, and those 2 little kids.
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
these kids
fishing on the dock in the morning.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and they were sitting there trying as hard as they can to catch a fish, right? And so I went down there and I went to try to give them hookup baits, but their rods were just not for it. And I'm like, I'll see if I can catch one. I just jig. Oh, here you go. It was that quick. And this kid, and I really just set the hook and then handed it to him. And he reeled this fish in. It was like a 6-pounder or so, And this kid was just like, it was like you're saying, changed his life. You know, that was his fish that he's hooked on fishing for the rest of his life now, right there. You know, and Bill got it all on video. It was awesome.
It was cool. I gotta say, one of the best trips we ever made was Lee's Ferry. Because I read somewhere that Arizona State Fishing Game was given like $25
per fish bounty on brown trout.
I remember this trip.
No limit, license, but no limit. Like no limit on brown trout.
Yeah.
What? They're obviously
Bill called me and says, "We're gonna go fishing. We're gonna get all our gas paid for." Like, all right, I'm game.
Because browns love that bait, and it's such deep water down there, right? I mean, there's some deep holes, 70 feet deep. None of these fly guys can ever get that deep, but that bait can at least fish that deeper water. You get those fat fish that those guys never get a chance to fish, and it's mostly a fly fishery for those guys. A lot of really, really famous guide services, and we show up there and splash the boat, and I don't know, we're probably catching 100 fish a day.
Yeah, well, the damn rainbows kept getting in our way of catching brown trout.
Exactly.
We caught a lot of rainbows.
We caught a few browns, and but anyway, it was so funny because I knew one of the guides, Terry Gunn. He and his wife Wendy. They have the best lodge up there, and their son Troy runs the shop, and so we ran into him on the river, and I said, "Hey man, we'll stay with you tonight. We'll have some dinner because you got a really nice little restaurant associated with it." So we go there, have dinner. We're just talking, and all these fly guys, and they're from all of the United States. This is like a bucket list place for these guys to come fish, right? Mm-hmm. And we could hear them talking like, "Oh yeah. This is the best day of fly fishing I've ever had in my life. Yeah, what do you guys get?" He goes, "I got like 13. We're like, whoa, nice day. We're totally complimenting them. And if they never asked, we would have never told them.
But they asked.
They asked.
That's right.
did you guys fish today? Wow, funny you should even ask. Yeah, we did. What pattern? What do you mean pattern?
Yeah.
You know. Just fishing these like hookup baits. What's a hookup bait?
Yeah.
The plastic bait. Chad makes these things. He actually designed them for trout years ago. Blah, blah, blah. Did you do any good? I don't know, like 100?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Whoa! You know? It's like, did you want to see pictures? At that point, we're like, Terry and Wendy.
And you got that one that not really like 7-pound brown.
Yeah, it was really
that hurt killing that sucker, but
yeah,
we got paid.
it was crazy, right? And so here's what's funny: because we come back to the dock with all these browns, right? And there's a lady. She was down there, like she worked for the Fish and Game, and so she's going, nobody's catching browns like you guys. What are you fishing? We show them to her.
Yeah.
The next day we're launching the boat. There's people going, look for that boat from California.
The Fish and Game lady told her about us.
you guys
So
know
they
what
seen
they're
us and they're like, we heard you guys caught a bunch of browns yesterday.
It was hilarious. The whole freaking place knew us. So we fished there for 2 days, and we've caught enough trout. I mean, they're all like 13 to 18 pounds.
Yeah.
A couple of big browns were our biggest fish, actually.
Yeah.
But
13
Troy,
to 18 inches.
yeah, and this is in November, like getting on to like mid-November.
Yeah.
But Troy, right, Wendy and Terry's son, they said, hey, man, he tells us in the shop, he goes, you should go to Powell. You need to fish those things for like striped bass. Yeah, and he goes, yeah, it's kind of slow this time of year. We go up there. There's one sporting goods store in Page. Can't remember the name. It started with an S.
Yeah.
Whatever. He goes, yeah, go up there because they have a really good assortment stuff. They're really knowledgeable.
Yeah,
They'll be able to
they'll
kind
tell
of
you what's biting and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
So we got there, got a little hotel room, and we go up to the sporting goods store, and they have a beautiful racks of all these baits. Nothing that even resembles a hookup bait. And we're kind of talking to the guy, and he goes, you guys
He was kind of grumpy.
Yeah.
He didn't really care.
You're way out of season. You're not going to catch
You
anything.
ain't gonna catch nothing out
Water's
there.
cold. You should have been here at least 4 weeks ago. Last mid-October, right? Oh, okay. He goes, yeah, you might want to fish like 20 feet, 30 feet. Look for a few arches. You might get some smallmouth deep. Maybe, I don't think you'll see stripers on the surface, but you might get a few striped bass. But hey, good luck. We never fished that place.
Yeah.
We splashed the jack shit. And
on Lake Powell, we're on Lake Powell. We're like, which way do we go?
there's a big water.
Let's go that way.
Little boat, big water. Little boat, big water, right? But it's got speed.
And luckily, we had beautiful weather.
Such beautiful weather.
Oh, your photographs of the trip was amazing.
We had such a blast. But we did what that guy was saying, right? We're kind of fishing the areas he was. We're seeing a few arches. We catched a few smallmouth, but not really lighting the place on fire. I mean, it was literally a couple of hours to get a few fish.
Yeah, then we figured it out.
Yeah, we're going, we got to find skinny water. We got to find warmer water.
Yeah.
We got to
So,
find
like,
something
we need
that's
to
a few
find
degrees
deep,
water.
deep coves.
Yep.
I went on the avionics. There's a bunch of deep coves at the end of this arm.
Yep.
And that
And
was
shallow water too.
Yep.
Some of the shallower coves where the
shallow
water's going to be warmer, and we can sight fish them. So we pulled back in there, and all of a sudden we're seeing smallmouths, largemouth, striped bass, sticks.
Well, then we would get at those fingers, and at the mouth of the finger, we'd catch striped bass, bam, bam, bam. Then we'd drift into it a little bit more. Then we'd catch smallmouth.
Yep.
Then at the back, we'd catch largemouth.
Yeah.
And then we'd pull out that one and do the same thing down the next arm. Then the same thing down the next arm.
Owned this place. And it's so funny because we fished it 2 days. The sun's going down. It's the end of our last day. We're just going to put the boats back in the trailer, crash, and get an early morning start to come home. And there's me and a bass boat. Because remember how low the water is?
Yeah.
It's even lower now. But it was like a quarter-mile walk.
Yeah, you got to way up. It's a hike up the. It's like a airport runway.
Yes.
It's like the length
So
of
he's
it.
like, okay, boys, I'm going to go get the truck.
Yeah,
so
I'll be back in a half hour. So.
Pretty much. I mean, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's me in the boat. I'm just kind of idling it, and shutting it off. And I'm just sitting there, and that one bass boat is on the dock.
Glitter
And it's
boat.
got like the guys, glitter boat, big ass, Merc on it, and awesome boat. I mean, 2 big screens on it. His name all handwritten on the motor. He's that guy. He's a Bass Pro.
Right.
And AZ plates, so I knew he's an Arizona guy. And so he's not saying a word to me. I'm not saying a word to him, but it's kind of awkward. For like 10 minutes. Like, come on, Chad. I was like, you coming? Hey, there he is. So at any rate, I finally broke the silence. I go, you fish this place a lot? He goes, yep. This is my lake. Yeah, where are you from? I'm from Page. Was that 5 miles away?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an awesome skiff, man. That's an awesome boat. Awesome boat. You must be pretty serious about your fishing. Oh, yeah, I do all the tournaments out here and stuff like this. I go, God, how'd you do? He goes, well, we did all right. I go, yeah, I mean, like, what's all right? He goes, yeah, we got like 12 today. I go, 12 what? Stripers? Like, I'm stupid for asking. I didn't know, right? He's like, yeah, 12 stripers. I go, wow, that's awesome, man. That's really good. And he's like, how did you guys do? You know? And I go, actually, we fished it 2 days. 2 days. I think we figured it out. He goes, yeah. I go, yeah. That's what I said. I go, I think we did all right. He goes, it's like, what's all right? I go, I think we got like 70. And he goes, 71. I go, striper, smallmouth, largemouth. It was crazy. Yeah. On what?
Oh my God! I
put down to the boat because it's hookup baits. I go,
on this.
Baits, bitch. He starts laughing. Now he's laughing.
Yeah.
And of course, he wants to know what a hookup bait is.
Oh yeah.
So he goes, what's a hookup bait? I go, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make your night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do 3 things. When our vehicles come back down, I'm gonna do 3 things for you. The first thing, I'm gonna show you a hookup bait. And the second thing, we're going to show you the photographs of the fish we caught at Powell on hookup baits. So you know I'm not lying to you.
Okay.
And third, we're going to give you some hookup baits.
Wow.
He's like, whoa, we were down there drinking beers, hanging out.
Yeah, we hung out with him for an hour or so.
Baits.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
But those are really good times.
We need to do a whole lot more of that.
I know we do.
Yes, you do. Well, I have one last question for you. And we hope to have you back for many more podcasts.
Oh, these are fun.
So
Absolutely.
you're just a great person. Okay, Bill. So obviously you live a very active lifestyle. You have a great positive attitude. You have the ability to be in a moment and see your future and go after it and achieve it. You have great health. You look great. What's the secret?
Genetics. No, actually, you know, I think you don't know it when you're just an adopted kid, you know, and you don't really know how lucky you were.
Yeah.
Until later in life when you really realized, whoa. I mean, I had some of my buddies, their parents never took them traveling and camping and skiing and fishing, you know. So I realized, wow, I was really blessed to be raised by these folks, you know. And I've just always, my folks were always upbeat and real positive, and that kind of reflects to kids. You know what I mean? If your parents are always fighting, you know, you know what I mean? We all know those kids. It's like, wow, you know. And I just had such an amazing relationship with my parents, and so much love and respect. And when I went down to Mexico, right, and left my trailer, they were so scared I was going to Baja. 24 years old, me, my girlfriend, and my dog. Came back 8 weeks later with no trailer. You know, my folks are like freaking out. Like,
they stole this trailer.
Where's your trailer? You know, I'm going, thank God the chain snapped. Like, what do you mean the chain snapped? Because I was always had a sense of humor, right? I just love breaking my parents' balls. I'm going, oh my God, those safety chains, they snapped. They're going, what happened? I go, you don't know. You've never been there, man. The roads are gnarly. You know, I came around this curve. The trailer came off came off on the dirt, and it came off the hitch. And if the chains didn't snap, it'd drag my truck, and we would have been dead. You what? You lost your trailer in Mexico? And I'm like, just kidding. I go, I left my trailer in Mexico. They're like, you idiot.
Yeah, it's not going to be there when you get back.
That's what I told them. I go, listen, you have no clue. In October, when I get back from Alaska, because that's when I was going to Tongass National Forest, when I get back from Alaska, you're towing your trailer in Mexico, and then when you get to where my trailer is, you're going to know why I left my trailer in Mexico. They loved it in the next 25 years.
And Mom and Dad did this.
Absolutely. The next 25 years of their life, they would spend months up and down the Baja, take the ferries across the mainland. Mexico became such a part of their life.
Awesome.
The most bonding experience I ever had was fishing and hanging out, catching marlin, tunas, and dorados with my folks, and you know, just taking weeks at a time, fish Loretto for a couple of days, you know, do some scenic. If the wind's blowing, you do stuff on the beach, and just had the most amazing bonding experience with them. And I think I really realized that I'm just really, really a lucky human being to be living in this time zone. Hey, let's be honest. You know, how lucky are we to be born in this country?
Yeah.
There's millions and there's billions of humans on this planet, and we're Americans.
Yeah.
We're born in this country.
Yeah.
And I mean, we may be a little biased, but we're lucky to be born and raised in California.
Yeah.
Deserts, high mountains, rivers, oceans, salmon.
And the freedom to do it. And enjoy them all.
Yes, and a lot of public land. A lot of states don't have the public land California has. We have a lot of federal public land that we can fish and hunt and all that fun stuff on, right? We have beaches. I mean, we're just so blessed being Americans on this earth, and then Californians in this. Yeah. We are just a fraction of the human population. So, I mean, how lucky were we? Yeah, and when you really wrap your head around that, that gives you a smile on your face too, right? Yeah. And because I've always been my own man, I've always lived my own life, I've always made my decisions, some good, some bad, but I always lived by them. And you know what? Everything worked out because I think I've got spirit guides that said, dude, we got your back. Just go for it, bro. You know what I mean?
And I've always said the same thing. I just have a couple angels on my shoulder that always just steers me the right way in my whole life. I mean, we both have pretty similar lives. Just very active, very blessed, very fun lives. That stuff just happens for us.
And I found out early in life, it doesn't cost one copper penny to make someone's day. Mm-hmm. So I don't care where I am. Somebody will have a really cool hat or cool shirt. That's an awesome shirt. You know, wow, where'd you get those sandals? Or where do you get? Or you see an older woman, right? And her hair just looks nice. You know what? You look radiant today. That came out of nowhere, right? But what did it cost me to say that? And it's exactly what I was thinking. I'm just expressing. But a lot of people would think that, but never say that.
Well, now she wants to have
now
sex
it's the
with
point
you.
now. It's the point now. It enhances my life to be able to enhance other people's lives. It doesn't cost one penny to smile, but you put a frown on your face. People just negativity will get you nowhere in life. Positive attitudes. I don't care if you're getting your ass kicked. You put a positive outlook and a spin on it, and you're just a happier person to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And like I said, I hope to have you back. Thank you for always the great laughs and stories and adventures.
With Bill Boyce.
And we appreciate your time. We appreciate you being an ambassador.
Heck yeah.
And I look forward to hearing more adventures between you and Chad and fishing together.
Excellent.
So,
absolutely.
thank you again. This is JoJo with Hookup Baits, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, folks.
Bye-bye.